Life is a journey, your starts here. If you're feeling lost, then have no fear. There's always a seat at the tavern, as the legend goes, where the fire's warm and the ale flows cold. You can share your story, whether you're young or old. Tell tales of your glories or sorrows. If things are going great or you're down on your luck, spent too much of the same and you're feeling stuck, share what you know on Gamers Growing Up. GGUP. GGUP.
Welcome back to GGUP, the show where we hang out with our guests and their favorite video games and take a deep dive into the experiences that have culminated into their unique journey through life. We'll explore how they see their journey being unique from others walking a similar path and learn what work-life balance means to them. We'll get a pulse on where they're at right now, where they would one day like to be, and where they envision the process to get there. We're going to explore what steps they're taking to tackle the main quests of life: finding purpose, building success, and spreading love. This is Gamers Growing Up. This week, we welcome my friend Patrick. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nick. I'm really excited to be here with you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. You want to tell the viewers a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you're from, and how you got here?
Yeah, sure. I am currently living out in Connecticut, not a place I ever thought I would be, but I kind of got a job offer out here. I'm from Chicago. I would say that I took a pretty non-traditional path to where I am, in that, like, I changed my major 5 times, something I think a lot of people do. Yeah, I know. But not only did I change my major 5 times, I changed schools like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, I graduated late for sure. And, but I think I found what I liked learning about, which was math. And it just took me a while to really find what I enjoyed studying. And then I got a job on the actuarial path in something called reinsurance, and we can go into what that is later. And then I got offered a job as a reinsurance broker out in Connecticut. And that's where I'm at now.
Following the work where it goes. I respect that for sure. I'm sure many can relate to that. I think we should also touch on how we met. We were both working as tutors in college, and you helped me get through quite a few long shifts. Yeah, quite a many hours passed together, and it's really cool to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, no, I'm excited that you're doing this. This is such a cool concept, cool platform to be on.
In every episode, we have the guest bring us into their favorite video game. You chose Rocket League. You want to talk a little bit about Rocket League, what it means to you, where we're at in the game?
Yeah, sure. I don't know that it would be my favorite game, but it's my favorite multiplayer game. Like, a lot of the games that I play on my own would be like Breath of the Wild or Pokemon. And I guess Pokemon's got multiplayer aspects too, but Rocket League is how I like to pass the time. It's sort of a mindless meditation place for me where I can just like go 1v1 and it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just sort of like letting my eyes follow the ball, jump around in this like little container while I can let my mind sort of like rest while it's being active,
A very recharging video game. I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. We have a little tradition on the show to start off the conversation, get things rolling. I like to ask, in your life at this moment, what is the thing that's the most important to you right now?
Most important to me right now? Well, I just got married earlier this year, so I would say
huge congratulations to that.
Thank you very much. So I would say that one of the most important things in my life right now is definitely family. I'm very family oriented to begin with, but especially right now because our family is growing. I've been sort of introducing my in-laws to my immediate family and vice versa. That's been very central to me and very important.
I think that's a wonderful thing to be focused on right now. What a meaningful pursuit.
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but success and happiness in your new marriage.
Thank you. Cheers.
So the first section of the conversation, I'd like to talk a little bit about your profession itself, the work that you've been doing. You mentioned that you started off as an actuary after changing your major a few times. Why don't you tell us what majors did you pick? And then we can go into college a little later, but what majors did you pick and how did you end up to actuary and then into reinsurance and now a broker? Let's hear about that process.
Yeah, I fell in love with math. I was a biomedical engineering major, and then I had a math professor ask me why I was doing it. And I was like, I don't know, I hate the bio stuff. So I guess I could just do the math. And then I was looking for careers that would have very meaningful compensation. That
Yeah.
was definitely like my primary drive at the beginning coming out of college. And an actuary was one of the top things up there. Like you start off low, but as you pass the exams, you really start to climb. And I liked that. I was pretty good at passing exams. So why not do that professionally? And for people who might not know, an actuary is someone traditionally in insurance or reinsurance who is taking a lot of data and using models to try to project possible losses for companies, individuals, properties, whatever. And so it's very probability focused, which I thought was kind of cool because I was studying probability while I was looking at this in college. And then I interned and got a job offer from my internship. And after, I think, just under 2 years, I decided, you know what, I'm not moving the way I want to. The amount of time that I have to study for the exams on top of going to work, I was sacrificing a little too much of my personal life.
Yeah.
So I was open to other opportunities, and a recruiter reached out to me saying that there was this opportunity for me to be something they were calling a technical broker, somebody who like had actuarial background
Hmm.
and could also be at a client dinner, that sort of thing. So
Hmm.
they offered me a good amount of money, and I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. You want me to be hands-on in Connecticut? I can do that. So first I asked my girlfriend if she wanted to move with me, at the time girlfriend anyways. And so we moved across the country, and that's where I'm at now.
Wow, how exciting.
Yeah,
And in this new role, you've said it's evolved a little bit over time?
yeah, it's turned into something a little different than I expected. I was pretty niche in reinsurance. I was working in mortgage reinsurance.
Okay.
I'm starting to get exposure to other lines of reinsurance, like different financial structures and different types of risk, which is not what I was expecting. But honestly, when I was making the move out here, I'm not sure that I knew exactly what to expect. I just knew there was like
Oh,
a
okay.
new opportunity, a different way forward.
Kind of jumping in head first, a little blind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something I think I'm probably known for.
That must have been a little scary, but it sounds like it paid off.
It has and it hasn't. I don't know if I'm like totally satisfied with the work that I'm doing now. Um,
Mm.
I am sort of looking at some either maybe internal moves at my company or like if there was another external opportunity, I would consider that too. But I'm not using my degree in a way that I would enjoy or that I wanted
Almost that
to.
feels fulfilling. Yeah. That
Yeah,
could be hard, right? It opens doors, but then sometimes what they need is not always what you were expecting or prepared to do.
right.
I've definitely seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, besides possible progression and shifting responsibilities, what would you say you're currently working towards right now in your career? Do you have something, some goal you're reaching towards, or a skill you're developing, a skill bar, if you will?
A skill bar, yeah. I think I'm trying to make the best of my situation at the moment by expanding some of my more soft skills. I don't think that my current role allows me to really flex my analytical skills. I've got a couple coding projects, but nothing really advanced. And I've actually been like kind of discouraged from getting into certain projects because they don't think it's worth my time. I might think it's worth my time, but that's not for me to decide when I'm on the clock, I guess.
Mm,
But my goals are to find a way to pivot and take what I've sort of accumulated in this current role, these soft skills, navigating internal company infrastructures, the different interpersonal dynamics in an office, and trying to mix that with the more analytical side of my brain, that itch that I haven't quite been able to scratch lately.
I want to dive into that briefly. Ask, how do you feel the relationship is with your company, your employer right now? Do they value your growth or just the money that you can bring them? Do you think? Because it almost sounds like you feel a little like you wish that they were investing more in areas that you want to develop in. And I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to in a lot of fields.
Yeah. So like if you could see my face right now, you'd see me smiling because like I was literally just talking to some people at work today over lunch about this. There's a gap between the more junior employees and the more senior employees, both in age, experience, and expectations.
I think part of why I'm relating to this so much is because for me, when I came into my architecture job at an architecture firm with my design degree, and they didn't have me doing any design work, it was all
Mm,
production. And here I
hmm
am producing documents to show to governments and try and get permits. But I
hmm
went to school because I was interested in design. So I felt like my entire reason for getting into the field was unfulfilled. And it's
uh,
something that really ate at me and made it hard for me to feel resident with my workplace and the path I was on.
a hundred
So I
percent.
totally get that. It's interesting that you're having that same sort of thing, but it's not design. It's more of this code, this analytics, these other skills that you really worked on throughout your degrees.
It honestly, it goes a little beyond just the type of work that I'm being given. I feel in some ways that we're not valued because of the sort of like general behavior. The culture in the office is very like
Oh, yeah.
putting people at the bottom of the totem pole and making it known to them that that's where they stand. There's also the work that I'm being given. I did not study differential equations or graph theory so that I could chase down markets for reinsurance and like talk through NDAs and like these things that are very, very far from what I studied and where I wanted to be applying myself. I don't feel like they're making the best use of me. I think they're just
Yeah.
looking for a body in the office, and that doesn't make me feel valued for who I am. Like you're saying, like this architecture firm was not giving you the type of work that you had studied to do, right? Like,
Yeah, or that I was interested in doing. It's really, I think that that is such a prevalent problem in people who are entering the workforce and the way that they're viewed by, especially like older fields or really large fields, fields with a lot of grunt work to be done. Someone has to do it, and they tend to just feed it down to any warm body that seems competent. I agree. That is something
it
that I think a lot of people find pretty shocking.
it's almost like they should be hiring somebody not interested in like architecture or like analytics at all. Those jobs could be filled by people that maybe are just looking for some sort of like architecture exposure, and their skill sets may not lend themselves to like design, but I mean that's not the skill set that's necessary for
Yeah,
chasing down permits.
for real. And it's not something I want to dive the whole conversation into, but I do think I'd be remiss not to say I think that a lot of these grunt work jobs are where these AI agents that are starting to become more
Mm,
prevalent are going to start going. And then it really begs the question, where are younger people entering into the workforce going to find themselves? If the grunt
mhm,
work jobs that we were being fed, suddenly you don't need a whole bunch of fresh college grads to be doing those things. I think that that's something the
mhm,
workforce is going to have to grapple with in the coming years, trying to figure
mhm.
out what's this new path going to look like for people getting out of college? How do you get them the experience and exposure to the office culture and stuff if they don't have this big pile of grunt work to chip at?
Yeah, you can't really talk about the job market right now without talking about AI. It's
For
gonna come
real.
up. I'm sure we're gonna talk about it again. It's unavoidable.
But this conversation is about you and your path. So, to recenter a little bit, I would love to hear what do you think your greatest obstacle has been so far in your career? And then, kind of counterbalancing that, what are you the most proud of? What have you achieved that really fills you with pride?
I feel like I might be facing like I honestly, I've faced so many obstacles. It's hard for me to pick just one.
You can talk about a few if you want.
Yeah, sure. I could talk about the exams and studying for those, making sure I could nurture my personal life while working full time and studying for these fairly challenging exams. And then there was the face off that I had with my previous employer about the wage gap that I felt I was not earning my full potential. And then at my current job, I'm not facing the obstacles of my compensation, but rather the company culture and
Yeah.
the type of work that I'm doing. My greatest achievements, I think, are more personal. I'm very proud of the skill sets that I've obtained.
What have you leveled up?
I've leveled up my programming for sure. Like, even though I studied it in school, I've gotten a lot more practical and had to do a lot more like niche problem solving that like I couldn't necessarily find on Stack Overflow. I've definitely leveled up in the problem solving way in that like there's not one right answer. There might be 30 right answers, but there's a best way to do it. And I got to find that best way. There's not an answer in the back of the book. There's not a teacher that's going to grade my work and tell me that I had to do it a little differently. I feel more competent and comfortable in my skills in that way. But like, there's not like a promotion that I can point to, or like, I won this one big client. Like when that happens, I'm sort of like, oh, great, okay, whatever. It's not something I'm particularly proud of, you know?
Yeah. And I think that it's really wonderful that you're still finding ways to get value out of the experiences you're going through. Because I think some people just work for money. I know that I fall in that bucket, and some
Hmm.
people find their fulfillment outside of work, and you work in order to sustain your lifestyle. So it's good that you're able to still find ways to extract value from these experiences rather than it just being a grind that you don't
Yeah.
feel like you're getting anything out of. So I'm very happy
And
to hear that.
anybody that comes up to me and tells me that they absolutely love working in reinsurance or that they love reinsurance, I gotta call BS on that. I think they're in it for the money. It's just not a like you're not saving lives. It's boring stuff. It's not like really intriguing or interesting. Or at least I can't see any way that someone could be like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited to get to my desk and look through these contracts," you know?
Do you think that a part of
Um,
that is also that you're not serving a particular person as a client, rather you're serving these larger companies trying to save them money? Because I know in my work experience, it really bothered me when our clients were giant brands, huge corporations, and I found the work that was for a couple trying to renovate their house way more satisfying, even if it paid way less and was objectively less exciting. Do you think that something about who you're serving affects your enjoyment of it or your view of its value?
Dude, it's like if I was writing a diary, you would be reading it. It's so dead
We're
on
writing
what
it
you're
together and
saying.
everyone else is getting a peek in.
It's crazy. The whole like, oh, I'm getting the best rate for this like major company that like it's gonna save them millions of dollars on this billion-dollar deal. I don't care. I like it. I'm not really aiming personally for that like satisfaction. It's more like that's just what it takes for me to do the job well, or
Yeah.
for what these other people say is doing it well. And so it's sort of an external motivator. Which feels a lot less satisfying than like something that I'm truly interested in, internal motivation, where like I would be proud of accomplishing that if I had helped an individual where I'm bettering their life in some way. You know, that's something I feel very proud of. Yeah, I just can't relate to it when it's these CEOs of billion-dollar companies. It just doesn't resonate with me.
I feel like you also are somewhat of a creative person and a people person. I think you value relationships quite a lot. Do you have any coworkers, or could you imagine a type of person? If someone listening to this is like, oh, well, I was thinking about going into reinsurance, or I was thinking about walking a similar path, is there a type of person who you've seen or you could imagine that they would really enjoy this?
You know what? There is. I guess what I was saying earlier, I wasn't being fair about nobody could love this.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
being
just talking about
dramatic
your
'cause,
experience. Yeah.
yeah, that's very much me. And I'm projecting a little bit there. I can see some people being able to do this well because they are able to sort of like detach in a way, like
People who
they're
just want work to be work.
yeah, the work is just work and they just do it. Because there are some perks that come with my job. Like I get to go out to some like pretty nice dinners and expensive. I don't have to pay for it. Or like I get to go on a few trips a year for free. I'm traveling a little bit for work, and that's
Nice.
I'm meeting new people, and like that part actually I do appreciate sometimes. I get to meet some good people. But I do think that there's like a certain level of the ability to detach from what you're doing. Like the monotony of my work is it takes a toll, you know? And I think that I just have to be a little more stimulated in my work.
And do you feel like your experience is pretty average for most of the people in your field? You feel like they are having similar feelings?
Um, the younger people I've met, like I think there is definitely some overlap. I wouldn't say that they necessarily like mesh with me. I definitely feel like I'm a little bit of a fish out of water
Hmm.
when I'm meeting with other people. I don't know if they see it that way, it could be like a little bit imposter syndrome, but I don't think so. I do think that these are people that like enjoy playing the game, the climbing the corporate ladder, and they feel a sense of achievement in that I just don't quite, and that's okay. I accept that. It's not for everybody, and for those people that do enjoy it, they're getting something out of it. So I think that's great for them.
You've had a couple of jobs in this field now. You mentioned that an internship from college led to your first job out of college. For these other jobs, there was the recruiter. Just anything
Mhm.
that you could share as advice or things that worked for you. Like, what did you think was really important getting a job in this field? Was it optimizing your resume? Was it certain connections you made? This internship sounds important. If you want to briefly discuss that.
Yeah, I'd say the internship is definitely what got me my first job, or my first job out of college anyway.
And how'd you get the internship?
The internship was like process of me sending out my resume and applications out to a bunch of companies and then following up with those companies. That part was really key. I realized I was just going to be another paper in a stack or another name on a list if I didn't try to stand out in some way. So I would kind of pester these people like, hey, what opportunities do you have? I'm really interested in like, just trying to really show up even when I wasn't necessarily wanted.
Did you feel comfortable doing that, or were you kind of pushing yourself?
No, I wouldn't say I was comfortable doing that because I'm like, I don't want to irritate people, but
Yeah, I think a
at
lot of
the
people feel
same
the same.
yeah, yeah, but you kind of get up to a point of, I don't want to call it desperation, but it feels like that in the moment where you're like, you know what? I just got to do it, and I'm not actually negatively impacting this person's day. Worst case scenario, they're rolling their eyes at their computer screen. So, you know what? I'm going to suck it up because this could be life-changing for me. Like just weighing the pros and cons of that. I think it's really important to just like pester, and that's how I got the internship. Don't know that I would say the same thing for jobs though.
I definitely think that that willingness to be uncomfortable in doing something that can give you progression is a skill bar people have to push. And you really don't develop that much in school. You're not putting yourself in situations where you're like, all right, I might be bothering someone, but that comes up again and again in work where you have to be your own advocate. You have to be vocal more than you feel comfortable to or want to, or people might get annoyed
Mhm.
with in order to make sure that things get done.
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty important. But it was like, it's how you get your foot in the door. Like, once your foot is in the door, once you're actually face to face with the person you want to be working with, then it's a little more important to take a back seat and actively listen to what they have to say, too. Because while that might have worked for the internship or like when I was talking to recruiters, when I was actually interviewing with the hiring manager or with the HR team, I would have to be a little more personable and like, they got to like me, because if they're going to be working with me every week, they don't want to be like super annoyed with me. They want to work with somebody that they like enjoy seeing if possible.
Yeah.
So
So it's finding that right balance and knowing
yeah, knowing
when.
the right time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's a really good little nugget of advice, is to be more vocal early on, and once your foot's in the door, trust it that your qualifications are going to speak loud enough that you don't have to be pestering anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
It sounds like when you were looking for a job, what was most important to you was compensation, which is very fair. I think most people feel the same. Would you say there was something that came in second?
Um, Actually, well, I want to step aside from this question real quick and say something currently, because like,
Yeah.
yes, the compensation was important, but it's like now that I've achieved that goal, I'm going to say the cliche thing that it definitely wasn't everything. And
Mm.
now what was second most important is like most important for me is company culture, or
Yeah.
the type of work that I'm going to be doing, the people that I'm going to be working with. It's how you're spending your
This
time.
is quickly becoming a trend on the show.
Yeah, is it? I'm sure.
It's been my experience. It's been quite a few people who joined this experience. I think it's something that you really don't get a sense of until you get exposed to a culture that doesn't align with you, and you realize how much it affects your enjoyment of your day to day.
hmm Yeah, I'm going to quote Tony Stark here, or Tony Stark's father, I guess. No amount of money ever bought a second of time. And that is so ridiculously true. The amount of time I feel like I've wasted, I've really had to start like protecting my own peace
Yeah.
and making sure that, you know what? If I work until 8 p.m. tonight, nothing is going to be different. Like I need to set the standard that like, okay, I'm not working late today. I'm going to finish this tomorrow, and that's fine. When you're working around people that are just constantly working late, or like sending emails at midnight and expecting a response, yeah, it's just, it drains you.
I think that this is a trap that a lot of really driven people fall into also, because I experienced the same thing. And I know that
hmm
a lot of people who take school really serious and take responsibility really serious, you go into the work world, you want to make a good impression. Everybody tells you you gotta
hmm
show up, you gotta take it serious, you gotta go the extra mile in order to get promotions or to get noticed or to progress, right? And you're willing to work those extra hours, you're willing to go a mile beyond. But when you're doing that
hmm
every day, and especially if you're not being valued for it, I think that's the real, if the culture is not there where they care or they appreciate it, and
hmm
it's just becomes expected that you're working 50, 60-hour weeks, it's going to really hurt when you get slapped in the face and cast aside like I was. You get laid off after putting in 50, 60-hour weeks consistently. It really wakes you up. It woke me up
Yeah.
and made me really question, you got to protect your own time and not let work become your entire life. You want to take it serious. You don't want to be dropping the ball on things or be the guy that no one can rely upon, because that's not a good position to be in. You want to be
Yeah.
reliable, but you can't be taken advantage of at the same time, or you're just going to out miserable.
I think I got lucky recently, and like my company sort of started to reveal who they really are.
Mm.
And like not everybody would have necessarily picked up on that, like in the moment. Like sure, when you get laid off after doing those 50 or 60-hour weeks, then like it's very obvious to you. But in the moment, not everybody realizes that they're being taken advantage of. And a couple people left my company recently, and then a manager came out and said like, yeah, well, everyone's important, but no one is necessary, everybody's replaceable.
Sheesh.
And I was, yeah, I know, right,
Wow, to be
a
so
bit
blatant
harsh.
about it. Yeah.
So like, okay, if that's how you feel, I definitely see that you don't necessarily value me very highly. So okay, shrugging my shoulders and just like, I'm making a mental note here that that's this company's culture.
So the last big thing I want to talk about with your current job is job security. Do you feel
Mm.
like, and less so with your specific role, but more so in the field, do you think that the field that you're in, the jobs that you've worked, have you felt secure? Or did you feel kind of replaceable? Or is it fleeting? It's not gig work, it's a steady job. But beyond that,
Yeah.
what's your feeling?
Oddly enough, even after what I just said, I do feel like my job is fairly secure, but it's as secure as I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can put in the effort and I can see the path to rise really high up and do really well. It's a question of, do I want to do this in a specific role? Maybe not. Maybe I need to take a step back and do something like could be within the company, a little more strategic instead of relationship focused. But the industry as a whole, I think is pretty strong. There's a lot of older people in this industry that are going to be retiring in the next 5 or 10 years. So there's going to be like just this massive thrust of youth that's going to have to fill those bigger shoes. So there's a lot of opportunity in reinsurance and insurance for those who want it. It's definitely not glamorous. Like there's a lot of controversy about certain types of insurance in the media, especially health insurance. Like I have nothing to do with that. And like I totally understand where that moral compass feels pretty shaky.
Mm-hmm.
But for what it is, it's a strong job market, and it does provide stability for the people working in it.
So let's shift the conversation a little bit to focus more on your path, your coming of age as you transitioned from teenager, trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, to now working professional, pretty settled into a field, at least for now. And how did you get here? You said you changed majors quite a bit. If you're comfortable sharing like what those majors were, and you already talked a little bit about the last one, the most important one, I would say, since this is where you ended up settling on math. But what made you switch before that? And
Yeah.
would you recommend that? I don't think there's very many people that I know who've switched majors so many times. And it sounds like you found one that was really fulfilling. So I'd love to hear what that process was like of having the courage to keep realigning yourself. Because I know that I didn't. I had a sense pretty early on that I might not be in the right field specifically. I knew I liked design, but I was like, I don't know, something doesn't feel quite right. But I felt too committed, too locked in. I was in these loans. I picked the school because of the major. It was I didn't want that much change in my life. And I'd love to hear what your experience with being willing to go through so much change, switching 3 schools, what was that like? And do you think that, was it worth it, but would you recommend it?
I would not recommend it to anybody that can do it more efficiently than I did. I have a good amount of student debt. Like I'm not thrilled with how I went about things. And I honestly, I mean, it definitely wasn't intentional. A lot of these moves were like me being reactive. I needed to adjust course because like maybe I messed up in some way. So yeah, I'll share a little bit about that. I started off as a psych major, which like, oof, that's not a good sign, to be honest. Like not necessarily that psych majors, like I know people that went all the way through with it, but I also know that was the major that many people selected because they didn't know what else to do.
Kind of like a business degree. Yeah. It's one of the big buckets you can jump in when you're feeling uncertain.
Right. So I was one of those people, one of the people that were like modestly interested in it and just wanted to pick a freaking major already. And then my first year of college, I had a lot of depression and anxiety that I was dealing with, and I wasn't dealing with it in healthy ways. So I decided to transfer schools where I had already made some friends at that other school. It was a bigger school, so I knew I was going to be surrounded by a lot more people. I'd found some clubs with my interests. I was leading the MMA club there, which I was really proud of and had a lot of fun with.
Nice.
When I was at that school, though, I was so focused on my extracurriculars that I forgot to focus on the curricular stuff itself. I was actually failing out of my classes.
This is still the psych degree.
Actually, no, sorry. When I transferred schools, I decided because of my interest in MMA that
which is fighting, right?
Right, like sort of akin to UFC.
Okay.
I was getting injured a lot, so I was like, wow, physical therapy, that sounds like fun. So I was studying to be a physical therapist. But again, I was failing a lot of my classes. Like, I mean, I would learn the material, but then miss a test or, something super stupid like that.
Okay.
To a point where I got put on academic probation.
Wow.
And I was like, that was my wake up call. That was me going, okay, I need to step back. So I left school for a little bit and got a job working at a bakery. I started addressing some of my mental health
That must have been kind of
Uh,
humbling, right? A little
oh
hard to
my God.
swallow.
Yeah, it was a rough year. It was like when I actually moved back to Chicago, I moved in with my dad, and some of my friends were like, one of them was going into a PhD program, one of them was going to law school. I was like really, really down on myself.
Hmm.
And so
I
I
think the
had to,
crazy thing is that so many people go through something like that, but it's not at the same time. So it feels like you're alone.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
agree?
Oh, absolutely. You feel so isolated because other people are in a different place in their life. But then they go through that like stunted period or whatever 5 years later and you're starting to ramp up. So like you just can't measure yourself by your peers in age. You have to measure yourself like against yourself and where you want to be. And so that's what I started to do. And I started saying, like, okay, if I'm going to go back to school, I got to do it right. So I took some classes at community college to show that I was serious about my academic ambitions. And that's when I enrolled at Illinois Tech and met Mr. Nick here and decided I'm going to study biomedical engineering. Still not on the last major yet. And then that's when I had some great math professors, made some really good connections in the math world, and decided to study math and minor in computer science. Not a route that I recommend to others, but I am really grateful for my journey. I think I learned so many things. And like you said, I feel like I got a lot of humility, which gave me like so much more empathy for other people that are going through those struggles. Cause I'm like, you know what? We've all been there. Everybody goes through it. It's just like, it's not always with school. It's not always with work. It's not always with personal stuff. You just like, it can come at you from so many different ways and where you need to sort of just take a step back and reset.
Yeah, for sure. Life has a way of humbling you. Even if you're not someone who's prideful or really, even if it's not something that's like a flaw or weakness of yours, you still find ways that life forces you to take on a new perspective. I definitely think that's
Mhm.
true. And I'm glad that you were able to land on your feet with yours and navigate it. It sounds like very successfully.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I think we all get there eventually. If you struggle hard enough with like some direction, you'll get somewhere. You know, as long as you're not just sitting there and taking it.
Yeah, it's just not giving up, right? You're continuing to
Yeah.
try new things. I think you going to community college after having been at a bigger university, that must have been a big step, and it led you to eventually a college that was able to take you where you wanted to go. So I think
Hmm.
that's pretty awesome. Something to keep in mind. I think that community college gets slept on by quite a many people, and
Oh,
we're hearing
100%.
glowing reviews of it so far. Do you have a good experience with it?
I mean, some. I will say that I had some professors that didn't care to be there. Luckily, my again math professor was very passionate, and that was great to see. Community college, I feel like, is great for getting the grades to get into a bigger school, and that's the way that I used it.
It's a really good
Um,
springboard.
it's a great springboard, and people are just so caught up on like the social aspect of college that they're like they want to get right in there. They want to join a fraternity or a sorority, or they want to like big school vibes, and they want to do it for 4 years. Like that's awesome if you can get a scholarship to make it easy, but you know that's not always an option for everybody.
Yeah, student debt is very real. Even if you do have a
Mm.
scholarship, the things like housing and meal plans, they add up.
Oh yeah, they
Um,
don't tell you about that, or
yeah,
they do, but it's in the fine print.
yeah. Now, I want to shift the conversation a little bit to get a little esoterical, a little heady, if you'll humor me, and talk about your personality evolving throughout this process. You were a teenager, you're going towards working professional. Where in there did you have a pivotal moment or something, or was it more gradual? Where did you start to assemble this adult mindset? I feel like it's got to be somewhere. You've made it to marriage and life's starting to get kind of heavy and serious for you. At what point did you really lock in and start to solidify some of your adult aspects? And do you think that that changed a lot? Or are you pretty much just the evolution of what was culminating all along?
I think there's a problem with the premise here that I feel like an adult. I don't. I
Well,
don't feel
up
like
to
an
where you
adult,
are
man.
right now. Because would you agree you don't feel like a teenager?
No, yeah, I definitely get what you mean.
So
Like,
like an early adult. I might have to change
yeah,
it because that's you're not the
no,
first
no,
person
no.
to say this.
I'm more
And
just like
how
pulling
I
your leg
didn't,
with.
if you're comfortable sharing your age, I forgot to ask at the beginning.
Oh yeah, so I am 30 years old. Um,
3-0.
I 3-0, and I still don't feel like an adult most of the time. But I think
Wow.
it's more because of this like identity that I have of
It's also because you
myself.
look
It's
like you found the fountain of youth. All of this MMA you're doing. You're a very
oh my
young looking
God,
guy.
no. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, but it's been a while since we saw each other face to face, man. Let's let's get together again soon.
I can't imagine
Uh,
you looking old. It's gonna
uh,
shock me.
you are too kind, my friend. Yeah, but what you're saying is true. It's not necessarily that I feel like an adult now, but when I look at myself at 23 years old, I'm like, oh my God, I was just a kid. Like some of the decisions I made, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? And then I'm like, oh, that's what I was thinking. I was like, my priorities were out of whack. Or like, I look at myself at 17 and thinking like, oh my God, I was so angry all the time. What was I so angry at? Where was this coming from? So there were like definitely stages of life where I look back on and think, oh my God. And I'm talking like I've got it all figured out, but 40-year-old me is going to be looking back, rolling my eyes heavily at 30-year-old me. So I think there were a lot of growth periods. And one of the more significant ones was when I dropped out of school and started working at a bakery. And I had a very, very drunk friend just punch me in the face as hard as he could and like broke my face. I had to get surgery. It was just like I was down and the universe was kicking me while I was down. I was like, my God, who am I friends with? Why am I friends with this person? And then I'm like, oh God, like, why did I not study at school? Like, why was I even there? What decisions were I making? And sort of like this massive forced self-reflection that eventually led to me kicking myself into gear and saying, I want to get somewhere and it's not here. So that's where that transition period, I think, was where I started to feel like I was putting myself in my own direction and not just rolling with the punches and seeing where the waves take me.
So it took a literal slap in the face.
A literal slap in the face. It was a
Life
closed
hitting you.
fist, man. Yes.
Wow. Sheesh. And that kind of woke you up and made you lock in, it sounds like, really start thinking in what, the more long term? Start orienting yourself towards larger goals than just
Mhm.
more immediate things?
Yeah, like thinking in the long term, realizing because I was looking for all sorts of jobs at that point and realizing like how limited I was without finishing my education and like so that I didn't have anything that was interesting to me or that I wanted to be doing for 40 hours a week. I started to see like, okay, well, if I want that, I need to commit some time to that. And if I'm going to do it at any time, I should do it now while I'm fresh out of school. I can get back into school. I still have that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have this ambition, I should act on it.
Great, and I'm glad you did. It sounds like it's taking you on a good path. And talking a little bit about video games, we are in a video game, and this podcast
Mm-hmm.
is for gamers by gamers. Are there
For
any
gamers by
skills, any
gamers.
skill bars you think that you progressed in gaming, or in this game specifically, Rocket League or others, some of those other single player games you were talking about playing? Do you think that some of those skills have really helped you in the workplace, in your school life, and life in general?
I mean, I could say that the puzzles in Breath of the Wild made me think like a puzzler, but I think I've always been kind of puzzle oriented, like problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket League, I don't know that it's like taught me so much as it's given me an atmosphere to, like I said earlier, sort of like recharge and meditate on things. And maybe that's a skill that I've been sort of developing lately is being a little more meditative on things at work and contemplating things further than just what's put in front of me. And also maybe again, sort of like an indirect skill that I've gotten from it is the being able to sort of detach and go on autopilot for a little bit for some of these meetings where it's just a little mind numbing. But I don't know. Rocket League is pretty simple. It's cars hitting a ball around to get into a goal. It's Rocket League, not rocket science.
You
Yeah.
heard it here.
That was terrible.
Bringing it up a little bit, do you have any people in your life that you know or that you've been exposed to through the media or, even fictional characters, people that you have taken inspiration from? I know people like to throw around the word heroes, but just anyone that you have felt inspired by. And do you think that those people have changed throughout your life, or have you always had a few that you're really drawn something from an aspect of them?
Yeah, I have like people in my family or some family friends that I've grown up around that like I've just always had a lot of admiration for in their character, just their general behavior, how they tackle a problem. That I've seen them since I was a kid, but all these people, as I grew up, they just got older. Like they were still unshaken by the time it felt
Very true to themselves.
very true to themselves. And that's something that I respected. It felt like integrity. Like I always had this like peek behind the curtain to who they were. And they always went forward with their heart on their sleeve and stayed strong regardless of what was going on around them. And I respected that so much. I've tried to do that myself, to live up to that expectation, going above and beyond for the people I love and the things that I value. And yeah, I don't know that I have many like recent heroes or heroes in the media that I've seen. The people that I look up to are people that I think I've known my whole life.
That's really meaningful and really powerful. I think that a lot of people can relate to that. Plenty of us are lucky enough to have someone in our family that really shows strong characteristics that you look up to as a kid and you only value more as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
And have you just, you don't have to get into too much of specifics, but I think it's interesting to ask everyone, do you feel any pressure to fill some sort of predefined role in society? Is that something that's affected you?
Oh, no, but it has affected people I love.
Really?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate, and this probably comes from a place of privilege where I've not really been oppressed in my life, where like somebody physically made me or like tormented me into feeling shame for something. I am very okay with who I am, and like I like those that have some sort of issue with it. I'm happy to let them go on hating me. Like that's fine. I don't know. It doesn't affect me. And the people that I love, like it's their opinions that I care about, and the people that I've surrounded myself with, for the most part, they'll let me know if they think I'm on the wrong path or if I'm doing something out of character or whatever. And I just like am open to listening to that. But yeah, I also recognize that my sister is like avidly advocating for anybody who she feels doesn't have a voice. She's 18 years old, so like I mean, you can understand that like that's the age where you want to change the world, right? And like she's definitely felt pressure to be a certain way or act like a certain type of person. And it's something I know that she's had internal conflict with. So I can empathize with her and like see the struggle that she's going through. And that's just not something I personally experienced that much anymore. Maybe I did at one point, but I think I'm very fortunate to feel comfortable with who I am and sort of going through life unfazed by what other people think of me.
And I definitely think that's a very admirable trait that I know you possess. And I'd love to hear more if there was anything that you can think of that went into the development of your kind of self assurance. I've always seen you as someone who, even when you didn't really know if the path you were on was right or you weren't fully satisfied with things, I always got the sense that you are very secure with yourself and that you trust yourself to figure it out. How did you acquire that? Do you think any of that was active? Was it something you developed? Or something a little more innate?
Oh, I was a super insecure teenager, so I definitely didn't always feel so self-assured. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think it sort of developed out of like starting to trust myself and starting to allow myself to make mistakes and be okay with that and understand that like I'm learning from it. I have to be a little bit more of an active participant. I can't just be upset that there's a failure. I got to learn something from it. And as I made more of those mistakes, I would learn from it. And then I sort of like recognize this pattern of like, okay, yeah, I mean, I made a mistake and the world didn't end. Like things are okay. And I mean, I'm not betting the house on a hand of blackjack. So like I'm not making that big of a mistake. But like within reason, it's okay to take risks, and it's okay to skin your knee every now and again. It's just important to learn from it. And when you get comfortable with that, I think you sort of get this feeling of self-assurance. And the tricky bit is not letting other people influence your development too much. Like let them influence you a little bit. But if you're just following somebody
You don't
else's
want to become
path,
them.
yeah, or like you don't want to just like accept their ideas unquestioned. You should contemplate those things. And that was another thing I learned with math is like you can't just accept like x equals 3. You have to understand why x equals 3. You have to like go through that sort of learning of why things are the way that they are, and then you start to like really develop. That's my personal thought anyway.
Just to dig one scoop down, one more layer into this, because I think it's something that's really useful, because so many people struggle in this phase in life. As you're starting to become an adult, a lot of people feel insecure. And it sounds like your development through working through this like anger you were feeling, the way you were talking about it sounds like there's some overlap there. Do you think that some of the process of starting to maybe accept where your anger was coming from, or that it was there, that also helps you to accept yourself?
Maybe. I honestly, I think the anger was a lot of hormones back in the day. I don't want to like chalk it up to just that, but like
It's
it
not
might
like
have
they're
been.
not there. That's certainly a big factor. So maybe just wait it out, folks.
Maybe like it's not just yeah, yeah. I think another piece of it was like just learning the appropriate way to express it, and as well as like finding ways to manage it. Like
And for you, that was MMA?
not necessarily MMA as much as exercise in general.
Oh, okay.
Like just being really active let me get out aggression, and like that sort of like directionless drive, I could put it somewhere, and that helped me think a little more clearly. But it's hard to say that there was like a specific thing that I worked through. I think I really got less angry when I got humbled, and when I started to hit rock bottom, that's when I realized like the anger wasn't getting me anywhere.
If you haven't drank any water recently, here's your hydration reminder, because it's sponsor time. Have you ever noticed how every guest on this show sounds like they're using high-quality mics? But how's that possible, you might ask? I don't have a soundproofed recording studio with $1,000 recording equipment. Most of the guests on this show don't even shoot the video in the same town as me, let alone the same room. What if I told you that some guests have even joined from their phones and still sound great? What's the secret? I'm no master audio engineer, but my friends at Riverside.fm are. They've taken the headache out of recording remotely and put the power into your hands so that anyone, anywhere can sound great. Their platform has AI-powered voice processing that gives your audio the magic it deserves. While they're not a sponsor of this podcast yet, I'd sure like them to be. Riverside.fm makes the show possible, and if you'd like to see them support GGUP, please tag them and let them know in the comments. Your voice has power, and securing sponsorships will help me ensure this podcast continues on for a long time to come. Thank you, Riverside.fm, for the wonderful audio processing tools. Are you enjoying the show? Do you want to let your friends know that this is your new favorite podcast? You should head on over to the official GGUP merch store and get that legendary loot. Get dripped out, stylish shirts, hats, and even stickers. There are over 100 designs created by yours truly, and you can get them all on all kinds of things. Click the link in the description to check out the merch store today. Now back to the episode.
So Patrick, I know we talked about the most important relationship to you right now, your brand new marriage. I want to ask about more broadly your social circles. I think it's really interesting to hear where people who are in this younger adult phase of life, where their friends are from. It's something that really interests me, as connection is becoming a lot different than it ever used to be. I know a lot of people are meeting people online or have online gaming groups, or some people are still very social in person. I'd love to hear, where are your friends from? Did you meet them at work? Did you meet them at school? Did you know them growing up? Are they people you just ran into? Is it from your wife, people that you met through her? Or how has your current friends, if you could give me a breakdown, give me percentages, like where did people come from that have come into be like your core friends right now?
Okay, let's see. So I'd say I've got a few friends from high school still. I touch base with them maybe like once a year, or some of them, oh, once a year. Who am I kidding? It's like 3 or 4 times.
Once a season.
Yeah, once a season at least, just to check in with them. And then a few friends from one of my colleges, and then a few friends like yourself from my ultimate college. But majority of my friends now that I'm talking to on a regular basis it's pretty proximity based, like people that I met in intramural sports. Like I joined a softball league this year and made a bunch of friends through there.
Did
And
you
now
do
we
that to
like,
meet new people after you moved?
yeah, we that was like a central focus for us, was like we want to have some feeling of community. That was really important to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we made an effort to, and a lot of the guys on the softball team had fiancés, wives, or girlfriends that we've done like dinners with, had golf outings, poker nights, like doing all sorts of stuff, like play FIFA together or Smash Bros, or like just hanging out, doing nothing work related. Nobody's talking about work because nobody wants to.
Yeah.
And we're just vibing. And actually there's also, I'd say, of the people that we talk to regularly, like 50% of them are through my wife, which I think is a pretty reasonable split actually.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. It's probably like realistically a little more than that. She's a very social and outgoing person, and I have a tendency to take a little too long to recharge my social battery. But, that's just our difference in personalities. We balance each other out well in that way.
What recharges you? Are you more of an introvert or an extrovert? Something in between?
My wife calls me a closeted extrovert because she thinks I'm like, when I'm at a party, like I do get like very like energized, but I can only do that like once a month, or like, and that even sounds like a lot to me because it's just exhausting. And yeah, I get ramped up for the time being, but then like the next week or so, I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like I love you all, but like unless you're willing to sit silently on the couch with me, we don't need to do anything. I'd say what recharges me most is like spending time at home with my wife or my dog, and or playing Rocket League, just sort of doing some mindless activity.
So a slowly refilling mana bar, and you get some big buffs when you're around other people, but it has drawbacks. You need to let it recharge. I get you.
Yeah, it's taxing. You can't just spend it all in one place.
And how do you think, for you, does that affect networking? What do you do to network? Is it something that's important to you?
Yeah, I think it's something important to me. I don't think it's something I'm naturally good at, because I naturally want to avoid those sorts of opportunities. I want to like, because it's exhausting.
I think it's almost, at least in my experience, people persons, I don't know, whatever that phrase would be, the plural, tend to worry you're making relationships too transactional. And if you really value relationships, it can feel weird.
Sorry, I'm doing a little. Yeah, I've got a sort of weird feeling about that with network, because so you're talking about professional networking, right?
Yeah.
Like I try to keep my shields down because I like having integrity and demonstrating integrity in being an honest person. And so I don't like saying certain falsehoods, or like putting up a face for my company, which is something that I'm literally being paid to do. I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
So it feels a little dishonest sometimes when I do have to do that. But like personal networking, like when I'm just trying to meet new people and like Also, I think that presents a lot of opportunities in itself. You can find jobs that way just through like meeting a ton of people and just through conversation, finding opportunities. I like intramural sports. Like it's a very good way to like get to know the way that people really are, you know. Are they a supportive teammate? Are they a good coach? Are they really competitive? Or, you know, like if they demonstrate these characteristics knowingly or not, and you get to know people really well that way.
I know you talked a little bit about having to redefine what is most important to you and trying to find this balance where you're elevating the importance of your life over work itself. How do you
Mm-hmm.
think that your career has impacted your relationships? Has it put a lot of strain on them? And what did you do in order to reduce that, mitigate it, make your relationships as good as they could be?
I think I've done a pretty good job of protecting my relationships in terms of like prioritizing them. I've worked late sometimes, but like never if there was something important going on. I'd always draw a pretty defined line saying, well, this is more important to me, so I'm going to prioritize this. And I make it known. I don't keep that secret. I don't see any reason to. But like when I was studying for exams as an actuary, it put a strain on relationships in a sort of sneaky way just because I wasn't seeing people as often. I wasn't hanging out regularly or like going to certain events. I would only make it to more like major things or birthdays or whatever instead of more casual, like, hey, let's get together on Friday, which in a way, like, really isolated me. And I wasn't as close with some of the people that I could have gotten closer with. My wife at the time, she was pretty stressed out with me and seeing all the stress that I was going through. She was very happy to see me stepping away from that. I just balanced my life a lot better when I wasn't taking on those exams. It was just an acute stress in life.
Yeah, it's hard when things that need to be done in order for you to progress, like you only have so much time. I think that's something that becomes more and more true the more
Mm-hmm.
you are forced to look at it, as the time is our most valuable resource, and you definitely want to spend enough of it with those you love and care about. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
find the right balance.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Patrick. Now I want to talk about your health. I know last time I saw you, and I can't imagine it's changed so much with all of these intramural sports. You are quite chiseled. You're physically quite healthy, I think. So I'd love to hear your overall, if you had a health bar out of 100, where's your HP sitting at right now? Not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. How you doing? What would you give yourself
Thank-
out of 100?
I appreciate you checking in on me like this, Nick. I'm 30 years old, so I'm not as fit as I was at 18, but who is, of course. I am currently on a health journey where I've started to cut out alcohol and I'm not inhaling any smoke or any edibles and nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to eat relatively healthy and drink plenty of water. So I'd say like in general, my health bar is pretty high. I'd give myself a 90 out of 100. And
Woo! Let's
that
go.
I'm leaving myself that room. Like I want to get to like I want to get to 100 out of 100, you know? So,
Gotta peak. Gotta
gotta
get
pee.
fully healed up. I get you.
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to get right now. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm going to the gym fairly regularly. And, you know, that's lending itself so much to my mental health. I cannot believe how much just like going and exercising does for my brain. I can't believe that I forgot how important that is.
It's good to keep in mind. I think
Mhm.
that definitely when you're going through hard mental struggles, it's a tendency to isolate, to protect yourself, to stop going out, stop doing things.
Mhm.
And you inadvertently can make things worse because you do need
Yeah.
connection, you do need to move and be active in order to feel well and for your
Mhm.
body to function right. It's something to definitely keep in mind. And now, this is the last number I'm going to ask you for, I promise. But start thinking of it now, and we'll talk a little bit about in terms of life satisfaction. I
Ooh.
am curious. I'd love to hear. What do you think right now? What is the criteria of a happy life to you? What things need to be part of a happy life?
What things need to be part of a happy life? Okay. We're getting real deep here. Self-respect has got to be a big component. and like understanding yourself, knowing who you are, and accepting yourself for who you are is just absolutely huge. I think like what I said earlier, I sort of came upon this, and my average day is very, very happy by comparison to like who I used to be. So I think that growth and development is really, really big. Making sure that you're stimulated and not stagnating. Like, I think it's totally fine to coast, but to coast in all aspects of your life, it can sometimes mean you're standing still and you're not necessarily feeling accomplishment. I think that's where I'm at currently. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but learning something new. It could be something like just going to a cooking class. It's just like, it brings me so much joy to like just learn how to do something new. Or it could come in the form of a puzzle or learning a new skill, like playing the piano or something. It keeps your mind going, and it makes really big difference for me when there's something like that for you to be proud of. Of course, surrounding yourself with the right people. That's a massive aspect of life. I think I, for a long time, was around a lot of angry people, and I've connected with them later in life. A lot of them are still pretty angry. Some of them have like made major changes in their life, and I'm happy for them. But like when we were together, I'd remember who we were together, and I'd recognize like, wow, this just was not a healthy dynamic. So like, I'm not saying cut people out of your life, but maybe be mindful of the influence that those people have on you.
I think those are very reasonable and important things. The people you surround yourself with. Just getting a sense and feeling of progression or advancement or accomplishment in some part of your life. This constant development and exploring new things, growth, as well as
Self-respect.
self-respect.
Like, I think for me, that's like the most major one. It's like, if you don't respect yourself now, then understand why you don't and see what you can do to adjust that. If you're just like beating yourself up, then that's not a reason not to respect yourself. I'm feeling a little bit like somebody's therapist here.
So out of 100, how satisfied with life are you right now? If you had to give me a number.
Man, this is going to sound like ungrateful or like I'm unhappy, but I'm going to say like 75, because I feel very removed from my family. And that's a big thing for me. I don't enjoy some of the things that I'm exposed to on a regular basis in my current job, in my current office. But the thing is, I know that that's a temporary state, and that's not where I'm headed. So you know what? I'm going to change my number, because it's not all about where you are immediately.
It can be about the satisfaction you think you could one day feel.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. That's where I was thinking. I'm thinking, you know what? I know that this is a temporary state, and overall in my life, I'd say I'm like at a 95. Like, of course, things can always be better, and that's the extra room I'll leave to strive. But no, I'm pretty satisfied with the journey that I'm on, and I know that like the things that I'm not satisfied with, that's temporary, and I'm making efforts to change that. So there's no reason for me to dwell on it. 95. I'm pretty comfortable with that.
I'm very happy to hear that. And I am curious, are you doing anything right now to improve that? What's motivating you? It sounds like definitely the shifts in your career, contemplating that. Is there anything beyond that that you think you're working towards to continue making your life more fulfilling?
I would say the fitness journey is a piece of it.
For sure.
Like, I am actively doing things to take care of myself. Like, I'm going on hikes semi-regularly. Connecting in nature is something that makes me feel really good, just like overall. Can't really explain that, but it's something I'm definitely sensitive to if I've been in a city for too long. And then, yeah, I think making moves to get back home to Chicagoland, that's definitely big. Planning on getting another dog soon, because dogs bring me happiness, and you know,
Nice.
you gotta live your
Pets are
life the way
huge.
that you love. Yeah.
I know that
Yeah.
pets definitely played a large role in helping my mental health. And if you have the time for them and are able to give them all the love they need, I know they certainly pay you back tenfold.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about purpose. I think that this is a word that gets thrown around a lot these days, and rightly so. It is quite important. I'm curious, what does finding purpose mean to you? Do you think that you've found it, or are you still defining this?
Finding purpose. I'm sort of looking internally for purpose, not so much externally. It's not something
Mhm.
I'm really like searching for. And I kind of assign it to myself in different stages of life, not like formally, but like my purpose right now is to enjoy my life without making too many sacrifices, not sacrificing any of my core values, promoting health and happiness in the people I love and the people I'm close to. And I don't know. I prioritize that significantly.
And certainly to be a good husband. I imagine that's pretty front and center these days.
Yeah. Like, again, I don't really know what that means necessarily to like be a good partner to my wife. Like, I am just trying to make her as happy as she can be, and it's the same vice versa. But like, it doesn't feel like a challenge almost. So
Huh.
it doesn't necessarily feel like a purpose. It's just something that we sort of like. At least this is very early in our marriage too. So
Sounds
like, I'm
good
sure
though.
that it's challenging for everybody in different ways. But
I was just
we're
trying to win
like,
brownie points.
yeah, no, I think we're very naturally comfortable with each other, so it doesn't feel like a big challenge, you know.
That's great.
And when you meet the right person, I guess.
So I want to open it up now to this part of the show where I invite the guests to ask me about any one thing you want to talk about. What would you like to know from me? It could be just a conversation topic, something you want my opinion on, my take. What do you got for me?
I like from so I want to ask you two things because I want to ask you
Two
about
things.
you as well as me. Is that okay? Am I breaking the
Okay.
rules here?
Sure.
I Uh, I would like to know, like, from the things that you've heard about me today, if there's anything that you think that I either might be turning a blind eye to, or something that some sort of opportunity that you think that I might be missing out on in this sort of like ambiguous sort of state that I'm feeling at the moment in terms of like where I am professionally and like how I might go forward. Because I think that's what your show is really about, right? Is like collecting these ideas and of like where people are at. And I know that there's no one place that anybody should be, but
True.
where is the direction that you think that like might help me out from what you've learned about me today?
I think with where you're at right now, you're in this fresh marriage. I think it will bring you a lot of joy to focus a lot of your outside of work time into building even more with your partner now that things have gotten so serious. You've made these big commitments and you're expanding your family. You're thinking about maybe getting another dog. I think really doing more things like that and bringing it to the forefront. I think it's already something that's important to you, and I think that the more you give it value and bring it to the front of what you're aligned with, what you're striving towards, like just really building a life together. I imagine, I haven't made it to that part in my life yet, but it sounds like you're aligned well in your work, right? You know where you're not satisfied, you know what is good for you, and you're trying to move things in that right direction. And it sounds like you're already on a good path with your relationship. So I think just really enjoying it. Honestly, it's kind of a corny answer, but I think that you've gotten to this point. I think that you need to enjoy the good times while they're here, because I think
Appreciate.
sometimes in life it's so easy to worry about min-maxing, it's so easy to worry about constant
Mm,
progression, that if you
hmm.
don't take the time to really enjoy, like, you're young with your new wife, like, have fun, go and live your life as much as you possibly can while still being responsible. I think you need to rack up some fun experiences. You need to come visit your boy. It's been too long. I
Hmm.
think that that's my take on things, is that you should strive to not let any moment go to waste. Enjoy the
It's
time
so
that you
true.
have.
That's really true. I need to appreciate the good things because there are so many things going well for me right now, and I'm not trying to brag about it. I'm trying to like take that and appreciate it. It's so important for us to appreciate what we have.
Yeah,
Like you don't realize how great it is to feel healthy until you've got a massive headache or like a stomach ache, you know?
true.
The other question I wanted to ask you about you is like, how are you feeling about this journey with the podcast and this sort of like new project that you are directing yourself on? Are you having like challenges motivating? Are you like really invigorated and you've got all these creative juices flowing? Like, tell me a little bit about what this is like to sort of like be your own boss on this passion project.
Yeah, I think I definitely am putting a lot of pressure on myself with it because I am the type of person who loves to start a project. I've been writing a book since the beginning of COVID, and I'm
No
sure I
way.
will be writing it for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
And I've made quite a bit of music. I've never put any of it out there. I've messed around with acting a little bit, never got too deep into that. Like never committed to the point that it became like a major part of my day-to-day life, I guess I would say. I have all of these passion projects and hobbies, and this is one that I could see it being a very synergistic part of my life for a long time, and I want to get it going and get it rolling and get into a flow with it where it's not something that is this project I've put thousands of hours into and never show anyone. I think that that's a weakness of mine that I fully intend for my book series to come out one day, but writing all 5 of them at the same time is quite a way to do it.
Oh my gosh.
When
Yeah.
you read it and there's no plot holes, I'm gonna feel cool. But until then, it's a little annoying that no one's seen any of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely. I think that I love the podcast. It's given me. I just like you. I'm someone who I work for money. It's not the corporate
Mhm.
life does not gel with me. You know, I've been laid off for a while. I've been trying to find a job for over half a year now. I thought I had something lined up and it just fell through, right? As they were supposed to give me
Rough.
the offer. I made it through a couple interviews, aced their skill test. They're like, we're sending you the offer next week. Oh, by the way, we're not hiring for this position anymore. It fell through. Awesome. So I think that my professional life feels on pause. So it's nice to have something that's progressing, something that I can like express my creative drive through, and I feel like that I can really like give back to the community that I love so much. You know, I consume a lot of podcasts. I play a ton of games and watch a lot of streamers and gamers and people on YouTube, and I think it's cool to try and foray into that field, this area of the internet that I love so much, and I'm hoping that I add a lot of value to a lot of people's lives because I know that my drive for this is it's something I'm struggling with. I have not yet found my perfect path. You know, I think that podcasting is an awesome part of it, and if it takes off, might be the path, but who knows? I'm still in this very things are in flux phase of life, and I feel like there's not enough resources out there. So that's why I'm doing the show, is to try and build resources for people that I know are going to be going through the same thing, because I'm going through it and I've watched so many people I care for go through the same thing, and everybody finds their own way through it. So I'm just trying to help build up these resources for people to navigate it.
I love that.
Thanks, man.
That's amazing.
Now, the last section of the show is called cheat codes. And I've got to ask you, if you were able to go back in time, talk to your 17-year-old self, and give him 3 pieces of advice, cheat codes, if you will, what would they be?
My wife would want me to say, find Rachel. Find her faster. But I'm going to give some not so cheesy answers. 3 cheat codes in life. Ooh, okay. 1 would have to be learning when to take things seriously. I think knowing how to shake something off and laugh at it is one of the most powerful tools you can have. So like, not everything has to be super serious. Not everything has to be combative or sad, or like there's got to be ways to laugh or find joy. And that's like really big is learning how to navigate that. 2, I'm going to go with showing up is key. Like if you are trying to learn a new skill, make sure that you're practicing almost every day, if not every day, and being purposeful about it, making sure that you're practicing and being cognitively present with what you're doing. And that's how you're going to develop yourself 5 years from now. If you don't ever take those language lessons or practice your sketches, then you're never going to speak Spanish, or you're never going to paint the Mona Lisa, or you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Develop
consistency
yourself.
overall.
Yeah, consistency and persistency are key to development. Looking at yourself in the long run is very big, and not just looking at snapshots.
It begs the question, are you someone who subscribes to the school of thought, the belief, determination or motivation? What drives you?
Oh, what drives me or what should drive me? I think
Honest answer.
I think motivation is what drives me, but I want determination to be what drives me, because determination is what would carry me through the difficult times. But I would say there are so many things that I wanted to do that I left on the table because I didn't have the motivation for it anymore. And that's, I think, one of my bigger regrets is like building that into a habit. Like I started picking up something new because I was interested, and then I would drop it like 2 weeks later or something instead of sticking with it. So I think being very purposeful about those things that you're choosing to pick up, and acknowledging that I'm not always going to want to do this, but I want the result as well as the journey. So I can't just half-ass it. One more piece of advice for my 17-year-old self: build good habits. So like I used to think to myself like, oh, I don't ever want to have routines because routines are boring. That means I'm just like,
Oh, I feel that.
like, but I think that routines can also be an excellent tool where it doesn't take a lot of mental energy to execute some of those like meaningful tasks that are like, yeah, it's not so stimulating to brush your teeth, but like you're not gonna have 1,000 cavities the next time you go to the dentist. Like, it's important to have certain routines in your life. Even if it is like a little bit boring, it frees up time for other things because you're maintaining those other aspects of yourself. So yeah, I would advise myself to build some healthy habits or healthy routines to make it easier on myself when I'm older.
Awesome. And I think that a lot of younger people will appreciate hearing those things as well, as they could benefit from them. I want to ask, if someone who is younger than you, maybe someone looking at going to college, they're aligned with a very similar path as you. Maybe not so much of a wobbly one, but they're looking at your end goal of currently like where you are right now in reinsurance or the actuary type field. If you were to give some very honest advice to them, would you recommend this path? And what do they need to do to succeed? A young person at the end of high school going into college.
Okay, first of all, wobbly is the kindest word I've ever heard to describe my path. I love it. I'm going to use that one from now on. It's a wobbly path. I would not recommend it. I think, and I think that's pretty controversial, and it like feels hypocritical to say.
So someone would say, even with all the money? Is it just because it's someone who's like you, or?
Well, if they are really like me, I don't think they're going to find a lot of joy in it. And there are plenty of other fields that pay just as well, if not better, if you have some other soft skills as well, if you have some other interpersonal skills. Some advice I got from a coworker when I was at my last company and I was leaving, he told me 2 things. He said, don't fix things on your way out the door, and don't let them stick you in the basement. And what he meant by that was, if you are a really good programmer, large companies, managers, or HR individuals, like decision makers within the company, have a tendency to put you on a hamster wheel and stick you in the closet and just like let you spin and create energy and do good for the company in that isolated space. But where you get a lot of upward trajectory is from getting out in front of people and making other connections. And that's where you find more opportunities. So I don't think that actuaries get that opportunity enough. I think that typically and this isn't always the case, believe me, I know plenty of actuaries that are out in front of clients and are like the very social type, But the stereotype is that we are not a social people. I think it's kind of a isolating path, and for some people that's what they want. They do want to like work on their own, just have a product to put out and make lots of money, and that's great and good for them. So like that's a path for some types of people, but people that are more similar to me, I don't think would find a lot of well-rounded satisfaction out of it. So I think it depends person to person. People like me, probably not recommended though.
I really appreciate your honesty. I wish that more people had the courage to say that, because I think nobody wants to crush a young person's dreams or, push them out of
Yeah.
a path.
Oh
But
God, I hope that's not what I was doing.
no, I'm saying I wish that someone would have told me what my field was like when I was 17. And I think that a lot of people end up in careers where they're like, fuck, this isn't what I thought I was getting into. And here I am, and everyone's miserable around me too. So I think an honest answer is refreshing and valued and appreciated. I certainly appreciate it. And I appreciate you being on the show, Patrick. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you as a guest, and I hope that we can have you again sometime in the future.
Oh yeah, it's been absolutely great, Nick. I would love to come back, maybe at a point where I've got some new things to say or new developments in my career or something. I can be a
Well, I
little more
certainly will tell
encouraging.
you, 40-year-old you, if the show's still around, is going to have to come here, roll those eyes at 30-year-old you. We'll see what you have to say.
I think so. Oh God, I'm gonna be like, wow, I thought that was wisdom. Yikes.
Oh, all right, my friend. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
So that's
Thanks,
where we're
Nick.
going to stop the episode. And then if you want to play a little Rocket League, I think I could put that in like the end. I'll do a little spiel, like subscribe, blah, 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 and we can press play, get there. Cool.
I it's so annoying that like these large companies are trying to like scam people out of like being able to just like live, like understanding like you hiring me means you took responsibility for my well-being for a little bit. That's
Yeah,
like
for
what me
real.
making you money does.
It should, at least.
Yeah, this like I think there's like kind of a gap between expectations and reality of like what's fair when it
Yeah.
comes to like the older generation is like, oh, you should buckle down and suffer for like good things will come to those who work hard, that sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like that's not reasonable though to say like, well, I have all this power over you, and if you don't do what I say, then I'm going to take that like your well-being away from you.
That's what, I mean, a huge part of the podcast for me is I felt so lied to by school, There's like this promise of, hey, if you do good, you get good grades and you get a good degree, like you're going to be great. Like you're going to get a lot of money, you're going to get a lot of respect. You're like, life's going to be good. And
A lot of security
committed
and
to that
safety.
shit so hard. I mean,
know.
I was like,
dude, we were good students.
yeah, we were tutors, like we
Yeah,
committed
right?
to that shit. And then it did not pay off at all. And I was like, wow, this fucking sucks, man. That felt like a giant lie. So that's why I want to like get that conversation kicking more. Like,
Yeah,
what is
like-
college really doing for people from going into the debt of a house?
Yeah.
Like I had the scholarships, but shit, the degree's worth like $500,000. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. I think we need to have like more honest conversations about like, I mean, what you're saying, what college does for you, and like what education reform does there need to be where we're saying like maybe college just can't be that expensive because it doesn't have the value that it once did. But like that doesn't mean education is less important. It just means like in our society, the sort of like
Oh,
I got you.
That's good.
Like the money that we're paying out for it just isn't enough. Like companies aren't willing to pay for it. Well, okay, then like education is, unfortunately, it's going to disappear.
Yeah.
Like people are like, we're just going to, I don't want to say we're just going to be dumber, but like if it doesn't make sense for us to get educations, then we won't. brain drain. People are going to go to other countries for jobs. Like same thing that happens to like Poland. Like they got so much manufacturing and stuff out there that like all their educated people are like, well, I'm gonna go get a job in England or something because, and then you just don't have as many well-educated people staying in the country.
For real. I think it's something that's gone to the wayside in people's values, even though it's what got us to this position of power. But, you know.
I know.
Hey!
Oh, shit.
Thanks for that one.
Yeah, definitely an accident.
Do you hear that? It's the call of the tavern. If you enjoy this show and want to join a community that supports one another, you should click the link in the description to join the GG Tavern Discord. We're going to be hosting game nights, networking events, and community discussion boards there. It's also the best place to stay up to date with everything going on with GGUP. There's currently a special promotion going on called the Founders Event. The first 100 people who get 5 of their friends to subscribe to the podcast and DM me proof will gain lifetime access to a special role in the Discord server where you can enjoy some of the special perks that will otherwise only be for paid supporters of the channel. Also, the first 500 people to join the server can claim the OG title for eternal bragging rights that you were an early adopter of the show. Come on into the tavern and connect with the community today.